If everyone could take their seats, please. The chair would like to call tonight's regular meeting of the CUSD 201 Board of Education, June 21st, 2016. Roll call, please.
Ms. Ambrose.
Here.
Mr. Armstrong.
Here.
Mrs. Charlton.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mrs. Notbush.
Here.
Mr. Price.
Here.
Ms. Wilson.
Here.
Thank you.
If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance. Okay, the first item on the agenda is approval of minutes. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the May 17, 2016 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the closed session of the May 17, 2016 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, then we have student recognition. Mr. Freitas, if you would like to take the podium.
Good evening, honorable board members of Community Unit School District 201. Today is a great day because I get to celebrate some great news. Continuing our vision of small giant and innovative programming, I am fortunate to say that Westmont High School and CUSD 201 is one of 54 school districts that participate in the Seal of Biliteracy program this year. That amounts to about 5% of the schools. So we're in that top 5% once again. And my role in this, I am the Seal of Biliteracy coordinator. Overview, I will speak briefly about what the Seal of Biliteracy program is, what is biliteracy, the history of the program, the maps of participating states, the vision and the purpose, how to receive the seal, who can apply, and at the end we will award the students. What is biliteracy? Biliteracy is the ability to speak, read, and write more than one language. Did you know that only about 15 to 20% of Americans are biliterate compared to Europeans where almost 60% are biliterate? If we are to go into the 21st century and give these students the skills to be impactful and successful in the future, we need to be a biliterate district and country. What is the State Seal of Biliteracy program? It is a recognition given to high school seniors who have studied and can exhibit the ability to communicate in 2 languages by the spring of their senior year. It is a statement of accomplishment for college admission and for future employment. The history of the Seal of Biliteracy. This all started back in 2011. California was the first state to adopt the first state of biliteracy. New York, the same year, later in the year, passed on similar legislation. Here in the great state of Illinois, in 2013, the Seal of Biliteracy was unanimously approved by the Illinois General Assembly. And in 2014, just 2 years ago, the state board released guidelines. Adoption by school districts around the state is voluntary. So right there you can see a map. The states in blue are states that have the State Seal of Biliteracy program. As you can see, this program is expanding year after year because people are finally getting it. People are getting that if you speak and are biliterate in more than one language, you will bring business, you will be successful, and there's a famous Spanish saying that goes, si hablas dos idiomas, vales por dos, you're worth 2. That's what it is. You're able to do the job of 2 people. Businesses are in the profit making. So if you speak more than one language, you can help your business generate profits, and you can help create a bridge between the communication gap. Our vision here at CUSD 201, Westmont High School, will be to be linguistically competitive with students from Illinois, the United States, and throughout the world. What's the purpose of this program? The purpose, the State of Biliteracy aims to encourage students to obtain a greater level of mastery in multiple languages. In other words, they want the students to be proficient in more than one language. That's the purpose of it. How do you receive the seal? The state seal will be awarded to high school seniors who show proficiency in English, as represented on the ACT or Access testing, and a world language. In our case, we have one of our languages that we offer at our high school. It is Spanish. So the students that will be awarded today showed proficiency in the English language as well as the Spanish language. Steps to receive the seal. Who can apply? All current high school seniors who demonstrate English proficiency on the ACT or Access test and a world language through advanced placement or stamps for us by the end of the school year. So it is an award for seniors. Seniors are the ones that are eligible, at least as of right now. The program, as I said, it only started 2 years ago, so it is expanding. It is a living program, kind of like our vision and our curriculum. So it could go down eventually to the middle school and possibly elementary schools. The awards. So you're looking at two seals right there. One is the State Seal of Biliteracy for students who show mastery, and the other is the State Commendation towards Biliteracy for students that are proficient. There's no first and second place. With either award, you're a winner. You're a winner, you're biliterate. And then the other award is the transcript statement. So students will get a seal, which we will affix it today on their diploma, and on their transcript, they will get a statement that states, attain the seal of biliteracy or commendation toward biliteracy by demonstrating proficiency in English and in Spanish. So every college counselor and admission office will see that our students are biliterate because it is in their transcript and it is also in the diploma. And right now, I would like to award our 3 students. We have 1 student that's out in camp right now. So Luke, I just want to say hi. I hope you're enjoying camp, but I'm glad your parents are able to make it. But so it is a pleasure. This is the first time we're awarding this. I'm really excited. So this year, we had 3 students qualify for this State Seal towards Biliteracy. And they are Luca Baracola, Andy Mariaca, and Hania Gonzalez Serrano. If I could have Dan or Nicole please come up first. We'll do this one at a time and then we'll take a group picture. Is there a way I can show the seal so people can see it? It's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. Yeah, it's from the state.
Yeah, you know what? Hold on, hold it up. Hold it up again. You know what? Put it right there, right there.
There you go.
Okay.
So as you can see, it is official. That is the Great Seal of the state of Illinois.
That's nice.
So by the power vested in me as the State Seal the State Seal Coordinator and the Illinois State Board of Education, and of
couldn't
course
let
our
that go,
wonderful
Dan.
school board, I recognize Luca Baracola as a recipient of the State Seal of Biliteracy. If I could have Andy Mariaca. Congratulations, Andy. Andy, I present to you the State Seal of Biliteracy. Congratulations, Andy. And last but not least, if I could have Hania Gonzalez Serrano. Hania, I present to you the State Seal of Biliteracy. Congratulations. Before I finish, If I could have Andy, Hania, and Dan, if we come up, and the Board of Education, if we can do a little group picture, please.
Us? No, not us. All of us? Just the president, right? No.
No.
All right, everybody say cheese. Cheese. One more. There we go.
We'll do one this.
3, 2.
Once again, I would like to thank the wonderful students. Thank you, Luke and Andy and Hania, for all the hard work. You know, you make me very proud being your assistant principal and your State Seal of Biliteracy coordinator. I would also like to thank the board. You guys have been so supportive for our innovative program. If it wasn't for the attitude in our superintendent, we would not be here. So thank you for believing in innovative programming and allowing an administrator the autonomy to see it through. Thank you very much, board.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments?
Congratulations.
Seems like a great program.
Great job. Thank you, Hector.
We'll see this guy up here in a couple of years, right? Okay, the next item on the agenda is public comments. One thing I'd like to go over two things. Guidelines. Visitors are invited to comment about the agenda item using the following guidelines. Please complete a card provided at the sign-in table before the start of the meeting and present it to the board president, or there will also be time for public comments without that. State your name before the comment and limit the comments to 5 minutes each. And the board president will be responsible for making sure that the guidelines are followed. Also, before that, I'd like to read a statement on behalf of the Board of Education. On behalf of the Board of Education, I would like to share with our community an update on the status of negotiations with WESPA, the Westmont Educational Support Personnel Association, which is the union that represents the district's teaching assistants, secretaries, library and media assistants, nurse assistants, and cafeteria staff, approximately 70 employees. As you may be aware, in the fall of 2015, the boards and WESPA's bargaining teams reached a tentative agreement for a new contract. Unfortunately, that tentative agreement was voted down by an overwhelming majority of WESPA's members during their ratification vote. We then resumed negotiations, but WESPA brought to the table vastly different financial demands from their original proposals. The board could not accept the greatly increased costs of the new union demands. So we entered into the mediation process required under Illinois labor law, and that included a federal mediator to assist. At last month's board meeting, we updated the community about our general progress in the mediation process, and we will continue to do so until there is a settlement. On Friday, June 3rd, both sides met for more than 8 hours with the federal mediator, with the hope that we would be able to conclude negotiations. Although both parties made concessions, we were unable to reach an agreement with WESPA. As the board has done in the last several WESPA contracts, as well as with all bargaining units, we continue to offer a fair, comprehensive package of compensation, offering salary increases to ensure that we stay competitive with other local school districts. We also continue to maintain an extremely generous benefits package, which includes life insurance, medical insurance, sick and personal leave, longevity pay, and retirement insurance. WESPA, however, continued to demand that the board make up, in the first year of the new contract, a financial increase that would, quote, fix what the union perceives were unfair salaries agreed to in their past bargaining contracts. We ended that mediation session with WESPA rejecting the board's last final offer to settle. At this point, we had concluded about a full year of negotiations. And one point for clarification. While a new contract has not been finalized, union members are still working under the terms of the previous multi-year contract. Union members are still getting paid and are still receiving their full benefits. It should be noted that, quote, working without a contract does not mean that anyone is not getting their full compensation. The board and WESPA will now engage in the next steps of the negotiation process. Each party will prepare for the Illinois Educational Labor Relations Board a summary of their last offers to settle, along with the costing of their proposals. Those negotiations summaries will be available on the district website. The board will also make itself available to meet if the mediator advises us that WESPA has a new offer for our consideration, and one that is in keeping within the district's budget. We are in a time of unprecedented financial uncertainty coming out of Springfield. And later in this meeting, we will hear from our business manager about how the lack of funding from the state will negatively affect our district. However, at the same time, we value the support these staff members provide to our district. The board believes there is room for compromise in these negotiations that will continue to provide WESPA employees with salaries and benefits that are above our neighboring comparable districts and are still in line with the district's budget. As stewards of the district and the community, we have an obligation to be responsible and reasonable with taxpayer dollars. But we also have an interest in offering a comprehensive and competitive compensation package. We trust that WESPA will reconsider its rejection of the board's financial offer and resolve to reach a settlement in everyone's best interests. Kathy Kenzel has asked to be added to the public comment, so we will start with Kathy. And okay, Kathy, and just to remind you of the guidelines that I had
Yes.
prepared. Thank you.
WESPA would like to thank the Board of Education for your service to the community and your dedication to public education. We would also like to thank you for giving us this opportunity to address the board regarding our current negotiations. Negotiation discussions with WESPA have been going on since June 23, 2015, and WESPA has been working without a contract for the past year. A tentative agreement was reached on September 17, 2015, and was voted down by more than two-thirds of WESPA members on October 7, 2015. Since the current round of negotiations began in December 2015, WESPA has made multiple significant reductions in each of our negotiation proposals, while the district has only increased their original salary proposal by less than 0.25%. At our last negotiation meeting on June 3, 2016, WESPA and the district each presented their final settlement offers. The district then declined WESPA's offer to set additional meeting dates to continue working through the negotiation process with the federal mediator. WESPA's salary increases have averaged 1.6 over the last 6 years, which has not kept pace with the cost of living and has certainly not improved any WESPA employee's standard of living. During the same period of time, increases for our teachers and administrators have averaged 5%. We believe they deserve this. An integral part of Westmont 201 district, our group of employees has provided a consistent foundation of support for our students, staff, schools, and community. WESPA is now asking that our employee group be treated with the same respect and equity as our teachers and administrators. On behalf of WESPA, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other public comments? All right, did any of the board members have any comments?
No.
All right, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Any comments or questions on the consent agenda? The chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Number one, personnel recommendations, non-licensed staff. Andrew Slaga, boys and girls varsity soccer coach, Westmont High School. Caitlin Foote, girls freshman volleyball coach, Westmont High School. Non-stipend position, Caitlin Foote, summer volleyball camp coach, Westmont High School. Vanessa Positani, summer volleyball camp coach, Westmont High School. 2, textbook adoption request. 3, renewal of student accident insurance. 4, disposal of equipment. 5, adoption of 2016-2017 routine business office resolutions. 6, adoption of prevailing wage resolution. 7, resolution to abate working cash funds. 8, approval of June 2016 expenditure report. And 9, ratification of May 2016 regular payroll.
So moved.
Second.
And roll call, please.
Ms. Ambrose.
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mrs. Notbush.
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carried. The first item for discussion and information is Hilton Oakbrook Hills Resort presentation.
Thank you for the time tonight. My name is Peter Dumont. I'm the president of the Harp Group, which is a Westmont-based, but we operate nationally hotel and real estate investment and development firm. And our sister company, also based in Westmont, is Portfolio Hotels and Resorts. And Portfolio is the company that actually manages the hotel on a day-to-day basis. But a little over 2 years ago, we put together a partnership to acquire the Hilton Oakbrook Hills Resort, and since that time we've looked at ways to intensify the real estate, which I guess is the most appropriate term. When we were in our due diligence period, we viewed the parking lot as being significantly underutilized, and as we operated the resort, basically came to the conclusion that our assumption there was generally true. Sometimes, during peak season, if we have a couple of different weddings, a golf outing going on all at the same time, the parking lot can come close to full, but that excludes a small lot on the western side of our entry drive. Has about 105 spaces that is never used. So we came up with a plan to intensify that real estate. We looked at several different uses: office, multifamily, build-to-suits for medical uses, that type of thing. And for a variety of reasons, ultimately ended up with a project that we're calling World Class Westmont, which consists of a roughly 326-unit apartment building with the units actually wrapping around a parking deck in the middle of it, and then a natatorium that is being funded by a local family and their family foundation, which is being designed to be one of the the finest competitive swimming facilities in the country. That's something that we're very, very excited about. Wanted to step back a little bit. I don't know if any of you have seen the Planning and Zoning Commission hearings that we've been involved in on an ongoing basis the last few months, but we bought a sinking ship. The resort itself had basically no income whatsoever when we acquired it, which compared to the last decade was down from a peak of around $8 million. So just wanted to have a brief slide here. On an inflation-adjusted basis, since the peak, total revenues are down 48%, and that's from the peak as being in 1999 on an inflation-adjusted basis. Net operating income was down 84%, and that's as of the end of last year, also from 1999's peak. Real estate taxes are down 64%, and taxable value is down 70%, and that's based on the 2003 assessed value, which was the peak. So naturally, we view ourselves as a partner with the overall community. We're partners with the Village of Westmont. We're certainly partners with the school district, and that partnership is one that, from a financial perspective, needs to improve. We need to create more taxable value. You need more revenue. So, from that perspective, we have a bit of a symbiotic relationship, and we need each other to do well. Oops. So here we have 1998 actual, 2015 actual, and 2022 forecasted real estate tax revenues generated through the resort and multifamily should it be approved by the Village of Westmont. Obviously, in 1998, it was just the hotel, and the CUSD district had about $371,000 of revenue, and these numbers, by the way, are not adjusted for inflation. So the order of magnitude of the difference is actually larger. And then the other taxing districts had about $184,000. In 2015, that 371 for almost 20 years, roughly it's been cut in half. Again, not adjusted for inflation. And other taxing bodies only got a hair under 90,000, so they've been more than cut in half. What we've projected, using outside consultants, if the multifamily development is to move forward, and then also then taking into account the positive impact that both the multifamily and the natatorium would have on the hotel's value would then increase. And I would have the worst argument ever with the assessor, as revenues are up, profits are up. I'm going to have a hard time arguing my value is down. But we've projected that there'd be almost $1.1 million of tax base for CUSD 201 and $485,000 for the other taxing districts. So that's a gap of about $900,000 of potential value that can be unlocked if we are able to pursue this project, which obviously we very much want to do. The multifamily development overview, it's well over $100 million in development cost, and again, it's financed entirely without any taxpayer assistance. Institutional construction. One of the concerns of the Village of Westmont is that there is a large factor of multifamily housing as a percentage of the whole in the community. The difference here is that this is a proposed 7-story building, with structural steel and concrete construction, interior parking, 24-hour doorman, 24-hour security. So, very much an institutional quality luxury multifamily product that is quite different than any of the multifamily projects that are currently in Westmont. We are designing them with primarily 1- and 2-bedroom units, and as we get feedback from the Plan and Zone Commission, we are making some modifications to our plan as we move forward. We had, at the last Plan and Zone Commission meeting, there was some efficiency units in the mix. Basically, the efficiency units were a modified 1-bedroom where the bedroom wall height, for code reasons, doesn't go all the way to the ceiling. So it's not legally considered a 1-bedroom, but for all intents and purposes, it acts like one. And our goal is to eliminate those entirely. As I mentioned earlier, the parking garage, this is what's called a Texas wrap. So the parking garage is in the middle, and is constructed, and then all of the apartments are constructed around it. So if you live on the 4th floor, you'll have an assigned parking space on the 4th floor. You know, it's a kind of a unique, very high-quality product. And then on the south side of the building, rather than having units look at directly out into the parking lot, we've created about 12,000 square feet of retail space, and that will basically act as adjunct space for the hotel. As large hoteliers, we are an approved licensee of a couple large multinational coffee chains I'm sure you're familiar with. So we have the ability to create one that looks like it's operated by Starbucks or by Pete's or something like that, but it's actually operated by us as the hotel, and we pay them a license fee. We'd also like to put in a little wine bar, wine shop, a enterprise car share service, so that residents here don't have to have 2 cars for a couple. They can get by with one, and then if they need or none, if they need to run to the store, they can use the enterprise car share, which is basically the ability to be pre-approved and then rent a car for an hour or two, similar to Zipcar if you're familiar with that concept. Additionally, one of the great features of the apartment building is the hotel shuttle buses. I don't know if you've seen our Mercedes Sprinter vans around town, but those are available currently for any hotel guests. We do local area transportation on a complimentary basis. That service is also going to be included in the rent at the apartment complex. So if somebody works in downtown Chicago, they can use the shuttle van every morning, get dropped off at the train station. We would then pick them up on demand in the afternoons. Obviously, some of that in the mornings and peak will become more of a de facto scheduled pickup. But if somebody gets in at 11 o'clock at night after a long day at work downtown, we'll still pick them up. They want to come down and go to Amber for dinner on a Friday night, enjoy a couple of cocktails and not have to worry about driving. Same thing. We'll pick them up and drop them off. We also think that will eliminate a lot of the need for having that second car. And from a developer's perspective, we're trying to basically free up more of their cash flow on a monthly basis for a nicer apartment rather than a car or 2 cars. I mentioned earlier there's 24-hour on-site maintenance, security, and a door person. We're able to do that because we obviously already have the staff there 24/7, 365 for the hotel. So we will expand the staff appropriately, but then also provide it as an amenity and a service for the apartment guests. Furthermore, the apartment tenants will also have access to all of the resort amenities on a discounted basis. So discounted food and beverage, discounted golf, and we want more people in our outlets. And if you're a frequent customer, we're happy to negotiate discounts. The natatorium at Westmont is being funded by the Kaufman family. Mary Ann Kaufman is a local swim mom. She and her husband Mark founded Athletico roughly 25 years ago. They have been extremely successful in that venture. And Mary Ann has become, over the years, very passionate about swimming, and they are doing this as a philanthropic venture. And they also are agreeing to absorb any annual operating losses for the natatorium. And part of that, what we're attempting to do here by working together is to mitigate those losses. If she were to go build this in as a greenfield development or as a repurposement of another site, she wouldn't have on-site engineers, she wouldn't have on-site security. She'd have to provide it herself. She'd have to provide all of her own parking. Here, through shared parking, through a decreased land basis, because the natatorium will be very beneficial for the hotel. We're happy to make the land cost very de minimis. So they're good for us, we're good for them, and that's why the location next to the hotel is critical. This is designed to feature one of the fastest competition pools in the country. It is quite literally the pool that is being used, I believe, this weekend for the Olympic trials, and I think it's in Omaha. But that pool is being disassembled. Mary Ann has already purchased it. It will be stored and then reassembled and installed here for permanent. I've got 4 children. None of them were swimmers, but they were, 3 of them were runners. So I do know what long indoor meets can be like, and the competitiveness. But the sports are similar in that neither of them have cuts. And if it's a basketball team, 12 kids are on the team. 7 or 8 might play, and 5 play a lot. Nobody gets cut in swimming. Everybody has an event. So it's a very inclusive sport, very democratic sport. The 50-meter pool, I've learned a lot, is what makes it fast is the engineering. It's going to be 10 feet deep throughout. So there's not as much, I guess, wave reverberation. And then it's also engineered to spill over the side so it doesn't bounce back. And that's what makes a pool fast. The 8-lane, 25-yard warm-up pool can also be used as a community pool with handicap access. Mary Ann is extremely excited to work with both the Park District and the school district. She was thrilled to hear that you have early release on Wednesdays because she thinks that's a perfect time. Somewhat of a hardship on parents to manage that one day a week a little bit differently. But in this instance, kids that are in the swimming program can come here after school and do learn to swim programs. And that's really we hope ultimately that there are Olympic qualifiers and NCAA champions coming out of the swim facility. Mary Ann's passion is making sure that every kid learns to swim. Every summer, we hear these horrible stories of kids in Lake Michigan or, Fox River, where they just, they haven't, been taught how to swim properly, and ultimately it causes deaths. And that's, her primary mission is to prevent that to the extent possible. So the synergies created by the natatorium, the luxury multifamily community, the full-service resort, and the multiple retail outlets, especially the coffee shop with parents dropping their kids off at 5:30 in the morning. It's unmatched in the swimming world, and it's going to provide Westmont with an incredible competitive advantage compared to similar swimming venues nationally. It's also, I just want to be very clear here, in terms of the audience here tonight with the school district. This will be open to the public should Westmont want to, decide to, once again have a swimming program. Mary Ann would be thrilled if this was the home facility for Westmont High School. And it would, gives you lots of options with the space that you currently have, to be able to use this. And we view it as also an anchor for the balance of the community and something for the community to brand around in the future, which is why we're calling it World Class Westmont. In terms of the benefits to the school district, we've designed the apartments again as 1 and 2 bedrooms. They're very, very high quality of finish, but they're not extremely large. In our current configuration, the 2 bedrooms are about 1,200 square feet. We do have a pool at the apartment complex as well, but there are not a lot of kid-friendly amenities otherwise. There is no playground. There's really nothing else for them. So, and given the rents that people are going to be paying, that 2-bedroom unit will approach $3,000 a month. We look at it and say at that price point of a monthly payment, people are going to be buying houses once they have kids. I think as we all know, kids need yards, kids need grass, and we're not going to have a lot of that in this complex. So 1 and 2 bedrooms really designed for young kids out of school that don't want to live in the city. And we've heard a lot of our opposition saying young kids don't want to live in the suburbs. Well, I've got I think of my 4 kids, 2 of them don't want to live in cities. They like the suburbs. There's nowhere for them to live. If they get back from college, have a nice job, they want to live in a nicer complex. They just don't exist in the suburbs. And occupancy in this apartment in the multifamily submarket, which is very, very broadly defined as 294 to 350, 294 to 355, I-55 to I-88 is roughly 98%. So it's extremely hard to even find a unit to live in. So we've got this incredible demand. So again, little to no impact on enrollment for CUSD 201. Natatorium will be able to host local swim meets, practices, clubs, and then the big meets, which are a huge economic driver for the community. It'll drive up hotel value, it'll drive up restaurant business, it'll drive up retail value. All again, kind of a positive feedback loop is what we're hoping to create here. The increased property tax revenues generated through the resort, multifamily, and retail operations, as I mentioned earlier, will result in very substantial increases to CUSD 201 and allow CUSD 201 to an appealing option to reintroduce a high school swimming program should you so choose. We believe this project is coming at the right place in Westmont and at the right time. There's very close proximity to multiple interstate highways, limiting increased traffic on local roadways. There are shared services between the hotel, multifamily, and natatorium will allow for seamless transport and also operation within the 3 buildings. Replacing the underutilized parking lot with high-end development will also allow us to continue to invest in the resort. The event tent is a nice place to have an event. However, our neighbors at the residences of Oak Brook Hills do complain about the noise, so we have agreed to take that down and replace it with a permanent structure, which will enable us, frankly, to sell more business in the winter months. The tent's great in the summer. In the winter, it's open, it's heated, but, frankly, people don't trust you until they can, stand out there on a minus 10-degree day and be comfortable. That's generally not when the sale is happening. So we've agreed to do that. We've agreed to take out the cart storage on the tennis courts and remove that and put it underneath the new event facility, and then put in a 9-hole putting course over there. We'd love to have, I think we've already done some field trips we've got about 500,000 bees right now, with our chef as a beekeeper. And then on the top of the apartment building, we're planning, we haven't, I guess I'm announcing it publicly right now, but we're working with a company in Chicago called Roof Crop, where we've got over an acre of rooftop space on the apartment building where we can actually grow crops for use in the hotel. We currently have a chef's garden on the backside, but I think it'd be kind of cool to have, your first, second graders, whatever, come over here, do a field trip, and then do a putting course as part of their, part of their educational time. Also, the golf course needs $4 to $5 million of improvements. It opened in 1988, and the greens are original. That's typically a 20-year time horizon. So those are really past their useful life. The bunkers, we spend about 60 man-hours every time it rains an inch, pumping out the bunkers, and we have to do it every day. And if it rains 2-3 days in a row, it seems like all our maintenance guys are doing is pumping out bunkers. So those need to be redone. We're going to try to lengthen the course and then introduce a lot more natural features. Taller grasses, make the water features more appealing to the guest, and we're in the midst of design for that right now. If this is approved, the golf course will be closed next year for a full and complete renovation, and that will be a better venue for the Westmont High School home matches that are already held there. I had the pleasure of playing high school golf, and the district matches, regional matches are generally held at the better courses. Right now, I don't think our course qualifies for that at that status level. Once we're done with the renovation, it would, and that would make your golf program that much better. Your kids would have a better course to play in the summer, a better course to play their matches on, have a chance to have districts and regionals at home. It's a huge advantage. The right time. The demand, as I mentioned earlier, for luxury multifamily is extremely strong right now. Basically, the demographic of a buyer that was purchasing a condo 10, 11, 12 years ago is now choosing to rent. So you've got a lot of wealthy people that are choosing to rent rather than own condos or own homes. As you're getting into later in your presentation, the state of Illinois has plenty of challenges in front of it right now from a financial perspective. One of those challenges is that wealthy people that have their businesses here are relocating to tax-free states and utilizing apartments like this to do so. They'll keep their business here, they'll live here 5 months, they'll go to Florida, they'll go to Tennessee, they'll go to Texas because they're concerned about the financial pressure. So I'd say, if the state of Illinois gives you lemons, at least try to make a little lemonade. As you're obviously well aware, there have been 3 consecutive referendum attempts for funding to repair and upgrade schools have been defeated by voters. That's not unique to Westmont. I've lived in Hinsdale for a little over 20 years and just voted down the proposed reconstruction of the junior high, and it was a 10-point defeat. Taxpayers are really sensitive right now with what's going on at the state level, at the federal level, and all of the different taxing bodies are fighting for a dwindling voter appetite for funding additional taxes. Since 2008, equalized assessed valuation within the district has decreased by 25%, which is increasing the pressure on all of you when it comes to revenue. Our solution for that is growth. This is a great project, incredible gift by the Kaufman family, and it's something that we look forward to supporting and hopefully building here in the next. We'd love to see a shovel in the ground in the next 6 or 7 months. So again, thank you for your time. I admire your gift of time to the community, and thank you. And if you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Seems like a great project. I hope it goes through. It'll be a wonderful addition to Westmont.
Thank you. The other thing I forgot to mention is we do operate roughly 20 hotels around the country. We've got one at Disney World. We've got a few in California. We've got one in San Diego I've got to go visit tomorrow. That's relatively close to Legoland, the beaches, and everything cool that San Diego has to offer. We are very generous with our unsold rooms. So if you've got parent-teacher organizations, you've got charity events that involve the schools, we're happy to put together local packages at Oak Brook Hills, and we're also happy to put together packages at our other hotels around the country, and then we've got one in downtown Chicago as well. So it's good PR for us, and it can be a nice fundraising tool for the various organizations that are related to the school districts.
Well, first, I have to say, any positive project that would bring money to the school district sounds fascinating. So I'll be interested to see how this, plays out. Do you know when do you guys go before the village board to?
The next meeting with the Plan and Zone Commission is August 3rd.
Okay.
And the village board meeting will not be scheduled until, that we appear on anyway. I mean, they're obviously regularly scheduled, but we're not going to go to the village board until we're done with planning and zoning. And I'm hopeful that we're done on August 3rd. We're working, proactively with the staff and with the plan and zone commissioners to make suggested improvements to the plan that they wanted. There was a lot of concern about parking, and justifiably so. The natatorium, when it's busy, is going to generate a lot of traffic. So, we are continuing to, have the plan evolve to solve all of the parking concerns. I mean, that's one thing that we've committed to, very recently, is that, we are going to, provide for the staff's required parking, and we'll do it on site. So I know originally we'd had some conversations with Kevin about possible overflow parking at the high school and junior high, and we've decided to just go ahead and bite the bullet and provide it on site. So we're going to, increase the size of the floor plate of the deck, which gets us a lot more spaces on each level, and we've got 7 levels. So, we can solve that problem, and we decided to go ahead and do it internally.
Well, I will say that the school district in the past number of years has a great relationship with the village and the park district and that, and if you are successful, we certainly look forward to working with you and seeing how both entities can benefit from this. So I appreciate you taking the time to come and talk with us, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda, construction update.
Just a brief construction update for the board, and at our July meeting, we'll be inviting Steve Cashman and a member from Pepper to come and give a more detailed presentation to the board. But basically, at this time, I guess the short summary is that everything's proceeding on time and on budget, so that's always good to hear. A little bit more detail, Miller, they're moving along. Pretty much all the demo is complete at Miller, and so the next phase is then to start to frame the new office and the new spaces, so that'll be starting. Manning, they have, last week they completed the abatement. Same thing, demo pretty much inside has been completed. The footing for the foundation for the new addition has been poured, and now they'll begin to start pouring the wall for that addition. There have only been a couple little wrinkles and not significant additional costs. One of them was with the foundation at Manning. The soil, it turned out, could not be compressed enough to support the structure, and so they had to bring in rock for that to increase the compression so that now it can support the structure. So Manning's progressing. Westmont Junior High, they've started framing to enclose the classrooms. So that started. The high school, Kim and I had the opportunity to walk the high school today, and just in 1 week, it's amazing. The transformation, pretty much the demo has all been completed at the high school. They have started the electrical work. They are framing in spaces. They think that Phase 1 will be framed in by early next week. And they'll start drywalling. So it's really amazing how quickly they're working. So, and again, right now we're on budget and we're on time. So it's exciting.
Well, I have to say, first of all, thank you for the people who are working to update the community on that, because I've been on the district website, got the email and everything, and I'm directing everybody to it, and to see those pictures is pretty much amazing. I know a lot of the kids are excited to see the, I guess, demolition, but it'll be interesting to see it proceed along. So I just want to interrupt and say I appreciate that, and if anyone else is interested to see, right on the front page of the district website, the first item is construction update information. You can click and look at the pictures yourself. So I just wanted to
Sure.
say thank you for that.
Is there anything else, Kim?
No.
Okay.
Okay. So you're done, Kevin,
Yes,
with that? Okay.
yes.
So now we will have Illinois school finance update. It's probably going to be good, huh, Kim?
All right, good evening. We had some good news from Peter about, possibly having an additional $900,000 of revenue. And I have lots of ways that we can spend this based on this presentation. So don't anyone get excited that there's going to be all this extra money, because the state of Illinois is coming up with lots of ways for us to easily get rid of that. But first of all, what I did was just provide a summary of the state and federal funding that the district receives. And the first column on there is what our final allocations are, so $2.9 million. I budgeted to almost $2.8 million, so we're going to receive about $146,000 more than I budgeted. But again, don't get excited that we've got $146,000 more of revenue, because if you look at the federal programs, they're toward the bottom of the page, and those revenue codes begin with a 4. That is about an extra $49,000 that we will receive in revenue. However, those grants, we have to spend that money too. So we get the revenue, but we have to turn around. We have expenditures for that. Those expenditures weren't in our budget that we presented because we didn't know those numbers at the time that we did the budget. And then at the top, when we look at the state revenues, and those are in they start with a revenue code with a 3. That's around an extra $33,000. But again, a lot of that is based on either we get a little bit more proration, a little bit higher proration than we have in the past, or again, though, some of that's based on the amount of money that we've spent in prior years. So it's not really like we've got all this extra money. And then the 2 line items that are in the purple, that's for the transportation fund. We will receive an extra $63,000, but again, that's based off of monies that we spent last year. The state always funds you for a year behind. So again, we've already spent all that money, and we don't get that full reimbursement. We get a prorated reimbursement from the state. But anyway, and then the other thing that I wanted to address too is, there's been a lot of talk about the state. We don't have a state budget this year. However, they did fund education, so we are receiving our state and our federal money. But again, it's looking like we will not have a budget for next year as well. The talk is, and it keeps changing, but that they may not actually, do any funding for education. If that is the case, obviously we won't receive our state revenue, but we also won't receive our federal revenue. So I've done some analysis on this to see where the district would wind up. We, on a cash flow basis, we will be able to make it through fiscal year 2017 in terms of cash. However, there will be a negative impact to the district because we will deplete our fund balances by, roughly $2.9 million. So, we'll be able to pay our bills, but we will have to make some adjustments because we can't continue to go on like that for more than 1 year. So anyway, the second slide shows a summary of potential revenue loss for the district. So there was CPPRT allocation error by the state. So the district received notification, I don't know, maybe about 2 months ago, that we have been overpaid by $37,000. We still don't know when or how they're going to take that, if they're going to take it all at once, take it over time. And then Senate Bill 16 is for part of the pension costs, and that is a $1.1 million cost to the district. Right now, they're looking at spreading that out over 4 years. So and it's cumulative. So year one, the impact would be $275,000 increase to our expenditures. Year two would be $550,000. Year three, $825,000, and then year four and every year after, $1.1 million of additional expense to the district. Again, we don't know if that's going to go through. We don't know when it will go into effect. We just need to make sure that people are aware and cognizant of the types of fiscal pressure that the district might face. And then the TRS pension cost shift is $66,000 per year, phased in, and that's at a 0.5% per year. And again, that is cumulative as time goes on. So if we don't receive any state or federal funding, that's $2.9 million, and the state portion is $2.1 million, the federal portion is $751,000. And then again, there's some talk about property tax freeze. So that's $215,000 for every 1% of CPI. So again, that's roughly about $4.3 million. Any and all of that could come at any particular time. So again, we're not really sure what's happening, but these are all the things that we at least need to be aware of the pressures that might present themselves to the district. So what can you do about this? And we really hope that we have our community members, our staff members, reach out to your legislators. I put together a listing of all of their local addresses, but you can obviously reach them in Springfield as well. But you'll let them know that we need a budget, that we need school funding. We need them to address the school funding issue because it is critical to our operation. Do you have questions?
No email for the governor?
No, he did not have an email on the website.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's
so some
interesting.
of them did not have emails, so.
Is there a home email address?
Yeah, just Cullerton or Madigan, so.
So, Kim, first of all, thank you. I know this is, nobody likes to deliver bad news, and certainly we're not shooting the messenger. But first of all, I'd like to say thank you for putting this together, because everybody keeps hearing about how the state's in bad financial shape and everything, but until it knocks on your door, you don't know how it's going to impact you. So this is these are very scary numbers.
They are, and, it's important for everybody to realize, 6 years ago when Kevin and I started, the district was doing a lot of budget cuts.
Yes.
There was a lot of,
Yes.
things going on. Through very mindful spending, conservative budgeting, and, really watching our district dollars, we've been able to, kind of right that ship for the time being. But obviously, we're headed on a course where we may not be able to stay the course. So, we need to pay attention to these things, and, the community does need to be aware that there may need to be adjustments going forward. We always hope that our goal is to be able to maintain the programs that we provide, because they do provide a lot of great benefits to our students, and we've done a lot of new programs in the last few years that, again, with some of these funding models that the state is coming up with, well, it should actually be beneficial to our district in terms of funding as well. So,
Well,
but again, it's that spending piece. We just need to be thoughtful in our spending.
Well, as somebody who was around during those times at the table, and I know Joe will agree with this, that was very painful to sit and talk about doing budget cuts to programs that many people utilized, and there were cuts made that were very painful to do, and I hate to think about going back there. I will state for the record that I know over the past couple of years, we have really looked at all of our spending, and again, thanks to you and Kevin and for looking at that and opportunities for grant money. I know we've worked very hard with all aspects where we can to cut costs where we can and that, so it's a very sad state, that's kind of funny, very sad state of affairs that we're in the situation that the school districts will lose quite a bit of money if they don't.
And if these things go through, it will require us to make some hard decisions.
Well, I get that's what I'm getting to. I really hate to be back in the position of starting to talk about cuts, because we have been so good about watching where we're spending and making sure we reach out for any kind of cost savings that we can, including grants and things like that. It's very sad to think that we would have to go back there, because they're never easy to talk about. And so, we always put out a board report after our board meetings, and I promise to do this one really quick, but I would like to make sure that if we can put some of this up on the website, get this information out to all of our families, to make, because people ask, what can they do? And this right here is what individual people can do. Kevin, you had mentioned at one point about a letter going out on
Right.
behalf of the districts.
Right.
Are we,
Yeah, I'm
what's
in
the
the
status
process.
of that?
I'm in the
Okay.
process of doing this. I wanted to see what Kim had put together, and so that we make sure we have the right message when we
Okay.
send it out, but we'll be sending that out too.
Okay, so, I don't mean to interrupt your thing, but do you want to just mention that a little bit, that there's a letter
Sure.
that the superintendents? and-
Sure, we'll be sending out a letter to our community, letting them know the impact that not having a state budget potentially can have on the district. And also, there's also the possibility that if there's no state budget, we may not receive federal dollars as well. So it's the twofold. And so there is definitely an impact to our district. And, as Kim mentioned, it may not mean that we can't open our doors next fall, but there is definitely a significant impact to our district if we have to start utilizing our fund balance to make it through that year. There is no year two then. There aren't those dollars year two. And so it's definitely a very serious situation for us, and we'll be communicating that.
Yeah, and it's, again, we talk about it, and Kim, you keep us updated every month as to where we are, but until you really look at some of these kind of numbers and you see how big that number is that would adversely affect us, we have to watch every single dollar that we're spending. So I thank you for continuing to do that for us as a district, and I don't know, hope that somehow the politicians down there, whatever, get past it and move on. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say, so.
Well, and then one of the things is, for example, this property tax freeze, obviously, we don't really have a lot of ability to create additional tax without doing a referendum. So for the legislature to come through and say, oh, we're going to freeze property taxes because we want to raise your income tax or something as a trade, it's going to take money out of the pockets of school districts throughout the state. And somehow we'll have to figure out how to deal with that decision that sounded good from the state legislature, like they're giving the taxpayers back something through a property tax freeze, but they're actually taking it, especially in the tax-capped districts, where you have no real ability to offset those losses. So that's problematic. The TRS pension cost shift, I would say that's probably something that I could see happening. Some of the other things I haven't read as much about, but those things I could see, the property tax freeze being some sort of, having some sort of impact on us, and at some point, some sort of TRS cost shift, and those are basically costs that the state is just shoving back on us, or will end up eating that somehow. So, and it's just very unfortunate because there's so little we can do other than manage what we have and do a good job there. Do you see, I guess the other piece, question I had was with the federal portion, in some instances, I'm assuming that wouldn't come because there's no budget, but they could possibly say, oh, well, we'll release federal money to schools. They could do some sort of...
My understanding is, and again, nobody's 100% sure, but that if the state does not have doesn't fund schools, the federal money can't flow through to the schools. This year, federal money's coming through, even though we don't have an overall state budget, they did the funding for schools, and that's why we're receiving federal money this year. If they don't fund schools at all, then it's very likely that we will not receive the federal money either.
And I think there are some state programs that they did do something to allow some federal money to flow through.
Yeah,
And
we
they
just got
enacted something, I
yeah, we
believe,
just-
that allowed
I
some
don't
of
know,
that.
we just got an update
Could
again
happen.
from the special ed co-op too, with that same message, so.
Can I interrupt for a minute? Just could we clarify when you say this year? So what year are you talking? Are you
For
talking
this current year, 15-16.
15-16? Okay.
We are receiving our funding, even
Yes.
though there's no state budget.
Even though
they
there's
did
no-
do funding for
Okay.
schools.
Okay.
For 16-17, if we do not have a state budget and they do not fund schools, then that state and federal money will not flow to us.
Yes, okay, thank you for that. Another question, timeline, do you know if there is, is there a deadline that they have to come up with a budget for 2016-17 school year? And then it won't happen, is that just something they can just keep talking about for another year, right? Can I assume that?
I'm not.
Do we know?
I know the one deadline that passed, in order to get a budget passed with a simple majority, that has lapsed. And so
Yeah, okay.
now, anything to get it approved has to take a supermajority. So if it was difficult to pass a budget, just getting a simple majority, it's
Right.
going to be that much more difficult,
To do
to
the-
get both parties to agree on a budget. So
Okay.
I don't know if there's essentially a date where if it's not in place, you can't have a budget in place, but
That's what I was, I don't.
each day it becomes progressively more difficult, I
Sure.
think.
Sure, okay, thank you. I just wanted to,
I think, it is worthwhile to have the addresses, especially of our representatives and senators, state representatives and senators, because I do believe, even though there was a budget for education passed for this current year, I believe they all voted no for it originally, and then the governor signed it anyhow, something. So I think it's important to let your local representatives know how you feel, so that they can better represent their districts. They need to hear from the school board members, they need to hear from teachers, they need to hear from parents, they need to hear from everybody. A lot of the problems with the state budget now is that a lot of state operations are still being funded through the education portion that was funded, and court orders and all sorts of other things that kind of keep things chugging along so that the public doesn't really feel the impact of the budget impasse. But now with this coming to fruition, with the no budget for schools, I think that's really going to hit home for a lot of people. As school boards around the state start talking about, what they're going to have to do to address the lack of funding. So it's good to have this. I think this list of addresses should go on our website so that parents can, have when they go to get information about our school, they
Right.
can also get information about their local representation and
Right.
contact them about these issues that are beyond our local control,
Right.
that are going to significantly impact our students.
well, just follow up one thing, and I know that you want to, you made a good point about the property tax freeze. Well, for an individual person who was paying property taxes, that sounds fantastic, but the problem is that's where we get the majority of our revenue. So if we don't get that, it's, and we talked about this a lot when we were talking about referendum. The only income that the district gets, other than the state and federal money, is from property tax. So if we lose some of that, we can't start taxing our, football stadium or something like that. We can't just start adding taxes or having bake sales or something to raise more money. That's the money we have. So for an individual homeowner who pays property taxes or businesses, sounds great, but the flip side of that is that's the piece where we get majority of our money. So even a section, whatever that is, 215,000 or whatever, that's quite a bit of money. Anyway, so that's just what I wanted to add to that.
The other thing I was going to say is I think I totally agree we need to get this list in front of people as much as we can, website, Facebook, whatever. The other thing I think would probably be helpful is anything we can do to give people guidance on how to go about this. So I mean, to say, here's an email address, send them an email. If there's any kind of sample letters or templates or anything like that that we can make available, I think that goes a long way. Because I think a lot of people want to do it, but they're not sure what to say, or they don't know how do I phrase it, how do I reference this, that kind of stuff. So if there's anything we can provide through those mediums to make it easy for people to say, okay, I understand, I can use this and run with it, I think that would help.
And what you're saying right here is for next year's budget, that's $2.8 million.
2.9, yep. 2.9.
I mean, 2.9. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to lose for a district our size, so. Well, that's a really great idea. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, that's sad.
He sent us this.
Thank you, Kim. I mean, I guess I said that flippantly, but I do say thank you because
Yeah, no, I
it
know.
is keeping us informed as to what our financial status is, so.
Madigan.
Okay, so now we'll move on to the presentation of our monthly financial statements for April and May.
Okay. We have first April. So during the month of April, the district received $400,000 from the state, and the state had vouchered $118,000. Of the $400,000, $243,000 went into the ed fund, and $158,000 was received in the transportation fund. And as of April, there were no FY16 payments vouchered at that time. The money we received was for the third quarter categoricals. And then expenditures in the ed fund were comparable to the prior year. In the O&M, they were a little bit higher. O&M fund was 76.5% spent to date compared to 71.9% in the prior year. And again, the transportation fund, because we've been waiting on getting all our correct invoices, is really hard to tell where we're headed with that. It's significantly different than the prior year. The other thing you'll notice is when you look at the investment schedule, the significant number of investments, and that was because we received the bond money. So we got that invested to earn a little bit of interest on that. And so obviously the $9 million for capital projects is in there. So a total of $11.6 million invested in April. And then fund balance and activity reports are attached as well. Does anybody have questions on April financials? Okay, then we'll move on to May. In May, the district received $162,000 from the state. All of that was in the ed fund. And then there's $46,000 of payments vouchered right now. And in the, again, for expenditures, we're comparable in the ed fund, and same with the O&M fund, and the district was, O&M fund was 83% spent to date, and it was versus 85% last year. And again, transportation fund is still off because of the receipt of invoices. We obviously hope to have that all cleared up by the end of this month and the next week. So I think we have most everything, and we'll be doing some additional payments then. Again, the other reports are attached for your review. Does anybody have questions?
Where are we overall in the year?
We are, we projected a deficit, and right now, if things come in, we will have a slight deficit this year. We'll be better than projected again, but
Okay.
we will end up with a deficit if things continue in the way they have the past several months. All right, and then I do have, I wanted to, in the May financial package, I did do a little update on the levy. I'll share that with you. Oh, okay. So anyway, I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on the 2015 levy. We thought that it's some part of the levies come back a little bit better than we thought. So I wanted to make sure people knew what has transpired with that. So we estimated new growth of $1.5 million. Our actual new growth was $1.8 million, which is good. That gives us just a very slight amount of additional revenue for the year. We estimated the 2015 EAV at $418 million, which was, we estimated a 3% decline over 2014 value of $429 million. Again, that's information that we get from our assessors initially. That's what we based our levy off of. And that equated to a 2.65% decline in EAV, including new value. So because of that, we adjusted our levy in the ed fund because we thought we would reach our max rate and we wanted to have enough room in there. The good news is that the 2015 EAV actually went up to $449 million, so we were glad the assessor's estimates were not spot on. And so that was a 4.54% increase over the 2014 EAV and a 4.14% EAV increase on existing property. This slide shows the history of the levy, of the dollar amounts that we've received over the years. And you can see to the far right, the proposed 2015, we levied $26.5 million. Again, we asked for 17.9%, knowing we would not get that. We estimated that we would get about 1.15% or $22.7 million. And then the actual 2015 levy is $22.7 million. So that's a 1.18% increase. And overall, that's an additional just shy of $6,000 in revenue. And that's basically because of the new value. So again, the property, the EAV going up didn't give us additional revenue. That was because of our new growth. But what it did is it had a positive impact on our tax rates. And again, this is just a graphical representation. Again, the blue columns show what we levy for, and then in red show what we actually receive. So again, you can see in 2015, we asked for 17.9%, knowing we estimated we'd get about a 1.15% increase, and we got 1.18. And then our tax rate history. So anyway, from 2004 to 2015, the red bars are our operating rate. The blue bar is our debt service rate. And you can see again from 2014, kind of the peak, our EAV was going up, so our tax rate was going down until through 2008. And then in 2009, EAV declines started to cause our tax rate to creep up over the years. The second to last column on the right, we estimated our tax rate would be 5.4288 with an operating rate of 5.1184, again, based on what we thought EAV would do from our assessor. But happy to say that our overall tax rate is 5.05, so that EAV did help to keep the tax rate down. And I just wanted to give you a quick update so that people knew where the levy fell out then for the year. Any questions?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the approval of authorization to pay additional June bills. And Kim, do you want to just talk about that just for a second so we know, everybody is aware why we're doing this?
Yes, we had one board meeting this month, and so it's a week earlier than normal. We're also trying to close out the fiscal year, so we want to have as many of the bills that pertain to this fiscal year paid in this fiscal year. So this just allows me to go ahead and pay those bills that were budgeted for in 2016 and get them recorded into the right fiscal year.
Okay, great, thank you. Any questions on that? No. All right, the chair will entertain a motion to authorize and direct the treasurer to pay any additional bills received before June 30, 2016 that have been budgeted for the current fiscal year as presented.
So moved.
Second.
And roll call, please.
Mr. Armstrong,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mrs. Notbush,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Ambrose,
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, motion carries. All right, superintendent's report.
Okay, first, under communications, first of all, summer school is underway. It's going very well. And we don't have the exact count, but talking to the principals, it does appear that we have more students attending than prior years. And the first session will be wrapping up at the end of this week. Just a reminder, we've been starting to field questions about registration. Just a reminder that registration for the 2016-17 school year will take place on August 11th and August 18th. And on both dates, it's from 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 7 o'clock in the evening. And registration will take place for all schools at the junior high. And so parents, mark your calendars. And then also under communication, just a reminder, Thursday nights are the Westmont Street Fair and car cruise. And the school district is out on Cass Avenue, usually by No Corner Sun Art Studio is usually where we're located. And we have information about the district, and hopefully, as the community members are out there, they'll come by and stop by and visit the table. And the board was out there last week, and July 7th, I believe, is the next time board representatives. But throughout the summer, we have representatives from the different schools each Thursday night. And then also just a reminder, even though it's November, or I'm sorry, it's June, we are thinking about November. The joint annual conference for the school board is November 18th, 19th, and 20th. And if you have not contacted Rima this evening, if you could let Rima know if board members are planning to attend the conference this year, and if you'll require hotel accommodations so that we can get our housing request in to this Illinois State School Board.
All right. That's it on there. Are there any board reports? I just want to say, with all this construction, as we have started, I just want to say thank you to all of the people directly impacted by it. All the administrators at the schools who are displaced. We've seen pictures of your new offices. Hector, they look great. You excited? Okay, good. And just, there's a lot of pieces that had to move around to get this construction underway. And so I have to say, I appreciate that. Kim and Kevin and Mike Morris and the custodians really are working very hard on this tight time frame to get this done. So it's, I have to say thank you very much for that. Living in the neighborhood and being very curious, I've driven around, and it definitely looks like everything's contained, so it doesn't look like we're stepping on any neighbor's toes or anything. It looks all, under control and everything. I have had a couple of people say, well, what's going on over there? So that's kind of nice, because then you get to tell them, But just, again, thank you for the administrators who are really completely sitting in a new area. Anyway, that's what I had to add. Anybody else have anything? All right, are there any other public comments? Okay, the next school board meeting will be on July 26, 2016, 7 o'clock, right here at Village Hall. Before we go into closed session, on the agenda, there is an action item that we were going to approve, but we're just going to pull that and look at it at the next board meeting, which is the approval of the Westmont Custodial Maintenance Association negotiated agreement. We will approve that at the next meeting. So the chair will entertain a motion to enter closed session for the purpose of discussing collective bargaining, personnel issues, student discipline, probable litigation, and security issues.
So moved.
All in favor?
We need a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Second.
Second. Thank you, Gary. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. So then there will not be a motion after closed.
Oh, wait a minute. Should be a roll call vote for closed. Should be a roll call
Oh,
vote for closed.
you know what? Yeah. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Notbush?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Ambrose?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.